But having then come back to the competition and have people feel like there's a sense of bias because she's a returner and she's strong and she's been to Miss Universe, it's quite ridiculous for me. Hello, you guys. My name is Wandiling Tembu. If you are a returning subscriber, welcome back to my channel. If you are a new subscriber, new to the channel, please do consider joining our small family. We are growing steadily. Now, for those of you who are familiar with me, I have been gone for quite a bit, but I have been in tune with what has been happening in the pageantry world in Miss South Africa. We are finally in the week of possibly getting, well, getting, not even possibly getting a new Miss South Africa 2023, guys. And yeah, for today's video, we have a lot to unpack. But first, I'll start off with crown chasers. Now, South Africa has a history of documenting the journey for South African girls towards the Miss South Africa crown. This is seen by the road to Miss South Africa in the early 2010s, all the way up until 2017. I think that's the last time they broadcasted. And Road to Miss South Africa was huge. It was a huge branding success for the organization. I remember back in the day, me and my family used to make it a family event that we would sit in front of our television screens and watch the journey as it unfolds and as it unpacks. And so I am really just so glad that the Miss South Africa organization have brought this back as a concept through Crown Chasers. And yeah, I have been watching throughout the week. So obviously I want to talk about Crown Chasers overall. Okay, so I'll firstly start off and say that Zozi as a host and as an executive producer of the show is absolutely sensational. I think that she is working. She is our queen for a reason. And our production quality, guys, I'm actually super impressed for season 2 of Crown Chasers. Last year we got a sneak peek of what could be, and this year it's a whole full-blown like production, and it's giving. Like, a lot of people were complaining Miss South Africa is now becoming like a popularity contest. It's becoming more like a modeling contest. No, guys, like, I think we all know like the essence or the point of this entire journey was to essentially just expose South Africans to the Miss South Africa journey and what goes on there. But like, they needed to make like the show itself interesting so that people can tune in every single week in order to watch. So I don't think it was like a modeling competition per se. Some people quite skeptical with the eliminations. I was also taken aback, but I didn't mind them at all because it really gave us a chance to view all the girls in their fighting form, in their fighting spirit. So yeah, I really enjoyed the production quality. What I wanted to see from it though is a reality TV like sense of it, like a reality TV aspect of it, where we got to see girls in more neutral and natural environments, them hanging out with each other, them just talking about their struggles within the journey and reflecting. I know they have little dialogue boxes where they reflect or have like journals where they reflect on the episode as it goes, but I don't know, that's kind of like, it feels kind of scripted. I just wanted to see them struggle and like maybe cry and maybe express tears of happiness and just a sense of, okay, we're done with production, what's the post-show feel, what's the mood and the air. I feel like if that was also an element that was added to the reality TV aspect of Crown Chasers, I feel like it would have maybe more like personalized the journey of these girls and made them more human, because as fans, as enthusiasts, we only watched and tuned in to see these girls as competitors, and that's how we've been viewing them each and every week. So, yeah, that just that personal touch that says reality TV, where we go through the motions with these girls, is something that I would have liked to see as it was progressing. Hmm. Okay, let's jump into episode 1. Episode 1 had the networking challenge, which Melissa, Natasha, and Homba did well in, evidently. This for me came as no surprise because the three, as I had been observing them at the time, were, I guess, the most personable girls in competition, and like, I don't know, like they just have this vibe about them that just says peoply, like they're peoply, like you can approach them, you can speak to them about anything. And yeah, I really liked that that Hamba also dominated in this challenge, being that she's a newbie, fully cementing herself. from the get go in episode one as someone to watch out for and as a powerhouse. So I really appreciated that about her. Um, Expectations were set for Melissa and Natasha, and they met them, so I can't complain about that. Melissa ultimately having won that challenge. Jordan baby, her like crying that she wasn't like the best or like it wasn't her type of challenge. I'm glad that throughout the Crown Chasers episodes that she then proceeded to display growth thereafter. Yeah, that was episode one. Those were the highlights. Melissa winning the challenge and Lebo ultimately leaving. I wanted to see more of Lebo. I was personally still such a big fan of hers actually. I see a potential Miss South Africa in her. So if she could return in future to want to compete again for the crown, I'd really love to see her there. Episode two, the girls went to Mauritius and they had the travel vlog challenge. And yeah, for me, it was just no brainer that that challenge would automatically resonate with Natasha because she is by profession a digital content creator. But I also expected Nande would do well because I guess she gives well, from I've been a follower of Nande for like years, like being just checking her out, being aware of her since her Miss Mamelodi Western Cape days. So I just knew about Nande in that sense, and she had I guess an influencer background. I'm not saying she's an influencer, but like the ability to produce content that I knew that she had. So I expected her to do a lot more better in that challenge. So I wasn't surprised to see Natasha thrive. Also, I just love the easiness of this challenge, seeing the girls in Mauritius, seeing them, participate in open water challenges and really letting loose and having fun. And really learning about the country of Mauritius. I think that was overall great. It was a great experience for the girls to travel abroad as well. Yeah, Miss South Africa really stepped it up this year in terms of just giving like the girls an experience worth competing for. Um, yeah, Natasha, no brainer, rise to the occasion as a super strong favorite for episode two, from swimsuits all the way to the final runway presentations. And Lungo having been the girl that was eliminated in competition, I don't think I was surprised there as well. I do think that she is eloquent, but I don't know. Lungo just needed something more in order to keep her there and in order to elevate her further. I don't know if I'm making sense for you guys. If I am, yeah, show your thoughts about what I'm sharing in the comments. Um, and then episode three, I'm rushing through this. Oh, episode two again is where Brioni really started to peak, especially at the runway segments of competition. And I was really glad to see her do an amazing job. Nande saved herself, she gathered herself, and went all the way to top three in the following week. So I was really proud of her because she also just took time and she leveled up and she said she's gonna do it and she chased that crown and I could feel the hunger in her spirit, in her eyes. Like she was just doing it, you guys. So far I wasn't really disappointed with anyone. Competition was still good at this point for me. Up until we got to the business challenge for episode three, where the girls, particularly Homba and Jordan, they weren't really satisfied with their overall product. And I was just like, what's going on? Because you guys could actually voice your indifferences and change whatever's happening to you guys within the moment. So like for me, seeing them complain, both of them, in that episode, it didn't sit well with me. It didn't sit well with me. Like if there's a challenge in front of you and it's being presented and you have the opportunity to fix it, fix it. That's what I wanted to see. Yeah, it was also no surprise to me that when it came to a challenge of business and personal branding, that Nande and Natasha would win. Nande was really smart for linking up with Natasha because she knows this girl as a digital creator. So like when it came to having creative unison together, they were obviously gonna make magic. Also really liked Melissa and yeah, again Nande stood out. So I feel like those three should have probably been like top three of that episode. Nande, Melissa, and Natasha. They really did an amazing job. Then I'm moving. Okay, Lavern's exits, guys. Let's talk about it. Lavern's exit told me it was expected from that episode again. But I don't know why the girls are acting like, oh my gosh, what's happening? This is so shocking. Because I'm pretty sure they were on their phones and they saw what was going on. So for me, during that episode, that was a bit like unrealistic. Their reactions to Laverne leaving the competition. What I would have liked to see from Laverne is a sense of like accountability from herself. Given the room that she did um, take a step back to personally identify that she was also a victim of bullying. In the same breath, people did call her out for bullying. So it would have been great to see her take some form of accountability and apologize on television, potentially, to the victims that she potentially hurt and the people that, you know, yeah, well, really just hurt by her past actions. So her exiting for me was quite valid. I feel like she did a good thing by stepping down. And yeah, that episode didn't have an elimination. It was quite unfortunate how that went down. Um, I think Miss South Africa in this episode really tried to humanize her a lot, which of course is again valid because she also was a victim of bullying in turn on social media. So yeah, but I also would have wanted a bit more from the organization from their end in terms of just supporting the other people who had voiced their grievances and their concerns on social media instead of just portraying a singular narrative that only seeks to benefit the person that they are directly working with. An empowerment platform, they should have had moments of empowerment. That's how I feel. Okay, episode 4, Heritage Day. It was Heritage Day vibes. Girls went cooking, they met Banyana Banyana, the national soccer team. They've been doing things internationally, so kudos to them and all their amazing successes and achievements. But for me, the most important part of this entire episode was the TikToks that the girls had to do. And for me, the four notable standouts during TikToks were Natasha, Humber, Melissa, Brioni. Natasha ultimately having won that challenge. I think Natasha won that challenge because when she speaks, she speaks from a place of emotional resonance. So people can feel the power of her words because she is emotive in how she speaks and she comes across as super relatable when she does that. I know we've heard Natasha's story before, but honestly, as she tells it more times again, she tells it to a new audience of people, and more people find her relatable. People do find her relatable. So, yeah, I can understand and see why she won that challenge. For me personally, I really loved Humba during this challenge. Her speaking about her personal story about almost like defying gender roles and her grandfather taking her to the kraal and giving her a sense of empowerment and an ability to be herself, and then her almost living this double life of you have to keep up with your femininity in a world that just puts that kind of expectation from you, even though you yourself as an individual are like completely nuanced, layered and different. I really found her to be very empowering and very self-aware during that TikTok. Melissa again speaking on African unity and xenophobia and having a moment where she actually spoke about you know a moment in her life that touched her when she denied her father and her Ugandan heritage. I feel that yo Melissa has such a powerful platform on her hands, guys, and xenophobia is such a huge issue for South Africa. So I really liked it that she delved deep in that and she introduced the country to her platform. I think she did really well there. Again, another person who did an amazing job for me again is Brioni. Brioni speaking about being like a brown-skinned Indian. A lot of Indians are tend to be like Aita or Farah, and her experiences of actually being like almost bullied by an older person for being brown and Indian in South Africa and that unique experience. I really felt that this as well from Brioni was very emotionally it was very emotional and it was very touching, and it was so necessary to hear because a lot of brown Indian girls were watching that moment. her kind of representation, for me, it matters. It really echoed loudly in that episode. I do wish that she would have delved deeper into, the discrimination that comes with being brown, and and just truly in her TED talk about colorism fully. Like, I feel like that was also a moment where she could have tackled. I did watch the full TED talks on the MSSA app. So overall, those were my four standouts for that challenge. Hamba ultimately having won the Heritage Day Challenge. I was super proud of her because that was very well deserved. And Ane having left, Ane actually was one of my sentimental favorites in competition. I just see something in her, and yeah, I was super sad to see her go. Okay, so episode 5, we really during this challenge we got to see the girls do some outreach with a local high school in Pretoria. And yeah, all of the premise of this episode is basically the day in the life of a Miss South Africa and her various outreaches. I would have liked to see them do more outreach during an episode. But overall, I did think that having the girls spend time with children, especially from an underprivileged high school, really was amazing. The girls had a photo shoot with Ndavi, and yeah, like, all the girls are fighting for me in that photo shoot. Like, when I think of the photos that I really like the most, Jordan, I really liked her photo. I really liked Honda's photo as well. I think she did really, really well in that challenge. Um, I like Natasha's, and let me think, Hmm. Yeah, those are the three. Those are the three girls that I feel like did a really great job during that photo shoot. And Brioni, they're really, but Brioni slays photo shoots every single time. So that was a given for her. And yeah, Natasha ultimately won that challenge, and Kia having left home. And this episode is particularly controversial because a lot of people actually believe that Hamba should have won. And I'm just like, I feel like a lot goes into, crown chasers. They have new sets of judges every single week, and the judges get to see a different perspective of the girls than we do. So Natasha having won that challenge, I think it's just personal preference at that point. I know a lot of people were accusing her of favoritism, because she is a returner, and she is a strong returner at that. And by this point, she had won 3 challenges. I find that very troubling, guys. I find that very troubling that in people disagreeing with maybe the decisions that the judges took out of their own personal preference when they were grouping themselves, that people found time to then almost have a pull her down kind of like energy or campaign against one contestant simply because she was chosen. It doesn't make sense for me. We all have our favorites, but to pull someone down because they're winning a challenge is, it's not cool and it's not correct. Even Warner Magazine posted an article about Natasha Natasha essentially being bullied on social media, and fans calling out favoritism from the competition and bias because she's worked with the all before, being a second runner up, went to Miss Universe. Fans essentially feel that because she has a level of experience that advantages her unfairly in competition, which for me, I can understand that logic, right? But again, we have to remember that in 2020, like, for the most part, Natasha was self preparing herself, especially if you were there and you were watching actively her journey. She was taking herself to the gym. She was doing Zoom calls from the comforts of her home. She was pushing her advocacy herself from the comforts of her home. She'd fly out maybe to like Western Cape for a photo shoot because of her advocacy. Like, she did a lot of self preparation through that journey, and I feel that what the org then helped her in is just be elevated through the platform and perhaps giving her the skills to succeed for the next round of competition, which was ultimately Miss Universe. We all know how the results went, but having then come back to the competition and have people feel like there's a sense of bias because she's a returner and she's strong and she's been to Miss Universe. It's quite ridiculous for me. personally speaking, I don't like what I'm seeing, guys. I don't like the bullying that has been going on social media for this particular candidate, because it really is unfair on her and all her hard work and all the effort and dedication that she has been putting in. The girl is clearly hungry, and the girl has been clearly putting her best foot forward for every single episode. So why aren't people then like paying attention to that? It's like that fighting spirit, the energy. She had that same energy in 2020. She maintained it all the way to 2023. She has been working with intention. This is how I've been viewing her as a competitor who has grown tremendously since the last time she has competed. And yeah, to have people bash her for simply performing well is just, it's not cool. It's not cool from my end. It's very toxic, fandom. And this is just the other side of pageantry that I don't like. Um, yeah, like it's draining. It's draining, and it has been affecting her for this final stretch in competition. It really affected her heavily on Sunday, the episode that Crown Chasers was released, and it's still affecting her because social media, she's not even that active anymore. She's quite quiet now, because of all the hate comments that have been coming her way and all the criticism and the attitudes of entitlement that people have been displaying. It's ridiculous, guys. People need to stop. I don't like making these types of videos, but it needed to be said. Yeah, judges will have their favorites. Us as individuals will have our favorites. And in the same breath, I would be defending any other contestant if they were going through a similar situation, because as South African pageant fans, this is not who we are. This is not what we're about. So yeah, guys, have a sense of decorum. But SA pageant fans are known for being supportive. That's our national brand. Um, so like if you want to support your delegate, support them, show them love, motivate them, send them kind messages. But finding time to be mean spirited and finding time to demean someone, um, because you see that they have, certain attributes that make her competitive, it's not cool. It's not cool. So yeah, guys. Overall, I have really enjoyed Crown Chasers. I would love to see season 3 come back to our screens again next year. Obviously, with the added bits of having a sense of reality TV to um, the aspect of competition. I've already said what I mean by that throughout this video. Yeah. Um, who surprised me the most in competition? I think obviously Natasha rose to the occasion and dominated at every single point. So that was for me expected from her, and she's been super consistent. So I've been really happy with her progress and her performance throughout Crown Chasers. Um, I think Melissa did tend to fall flat, especially if after episode 3. She was doing really well, guys. She started off really strong, and from her side, I really wanted to see her maintain that strength or have that fighting spirit. I think Palm again is another standout from Crown Chasers. Quite literally undeniable. I really loved her a lot. Um, Brioni had her on and off moments when she got time to perform and when she got time to speak, but overall, she was just okay. Like, she was just okay. She was cruising through. I think Nande is someone who absolutely as well rose to the occasion and absolutely dominated after episode 1. She said, "I'm not going home," and she meant that. So I was really surprised and pleasantly happy to see her advance and go stronger in competition. Honestly, I felt bad for Kia as well. Um, I really feel like at episode 4, she didn't belong in the bottom 3. I feel that she really worked really hard during that episode, and she should have been given like a free pass, like to just move on to the next phase of competition without landing in the bottom 3. Jordan as well didn't belong in the bottom 3 that week. That was quite surprising for me. I think Melissa could have been in the bottom at episode 4. Um, just seeing from how the episode was going, like she was not having a great time. So yeah. Um, Anchor as well, super consistent. Never was in the bottom, but also never in the top. So I mean, she's consistent. So good for her. Like she survived basically like that aspect of competition, especially as a newbie. Um, yeah, if I'm missing anyone out, you guys will let me know in the comments. For episode 5, when Melissa was in the bottom, a lot of people felt that she didn't belong there, or that the judges were like quite harsh on her. I think um, that was necessary from the judges' end, because she was kind of like slacking, or she was kind of like fading in competition, and her mind wasn't fully in it. You know what I mean? So the judges had to give her that pep talk, or had to give her that moment of realization that you're in the bottom, because we see a lot of potential in you and you need to wake up. And I feel like that pushed her to wake up for the final leg of competition. So it worked, honestly, and I'm glad to see that it worked. I was also surprised to see Jordan in the bottom again. I feel like she was consistent, so like I don't understand why she was there. Those are my final thoughts about Crown Chasers. Guys, let me know or share your thoughts down below, what you think of Crown Chasers as an entire concept. Would you like to see it come back again? What were your highlights? What were your lowlights? Yeah, share your thoughts with me. Share your thoughts about the alleged favoritism of about Natasha um, in competition. I'd really like to hear your thoughts about that, you guys. I am open, honestly, to being conversational with you guys. So, yeah, I am gonna be filming again my interview favorites, standouts, and my final prediction today. So I'm busy. You guys are being treated. It's been great having you all on my YouTube channel. I will be seeing you guys again next time. Love you loads. Bye.